Hi guys, it's Clinton here from Bat and Ball Cricket. Thanks for tuning in for another one of my videos. Today doing another video that's close to a review but not quite. So today I'm talking about bat profiles and different type of profiles for bats that you can get. So the first up, in the last probably 2 or 3 years there's probably been a fair amount of actual, I want to say technological advances probably isn't the right word, but probably a lot more revolutionary designs that have become a lot more mainstream. And what I mean by that is, I'll show you by far my oldest bat. So this one is a very, very little known company, and I'm pretty sure they're not actually in production anymore here in Australia. It was called Evolution. This is called a 5-star, and I bought this back around about season 2004-2005. It's a fairly old school bat. Like I said, it's actually got a fairly steep drop around the face, a very rounded face. That probably, if you're looking at like the GM bats when they talk about their F faces, this is probably be like an F7. That the actual centre of the bat is about 7 mil higher than the edge. But when we start talking about profile, this is what's called a full profile bat. What I mean by that is when you actually look down the spine of the bat, the actual spine to the edge is virtually a straight line. So it means that it's got maximum amount of timber in this area. Now this isn't in modern day terms, this one isn't a big bat. It was a fairly big bat at the time that I bought it, but in modern terms it's not a big bat. It's got probably about, I don't know, 20 mil edges, maybe 25 mil edges, and that's it. But look, it's got an absolute cracker of a middle in it. But that's about, like I said, that's about 10 seasons old now. If we make the flip of that, or the reverse of that, is one of the bats I bought this season, just recently gone, and I bought this bat in India. So this is one of my SG bats. This is the SG RSD Elite that I'm also doing a reno on. As you can see, no stickers on it anymore. So make sure you check out the reno video coming to you shortly. This particular bat is one that at the time I didn't know a lot about, or I hadn't done a lot about cricket bats. Now, I wouldn't go to say that in the last 6 months I've become a cricket bat nerd that knows absolutely everything about a cricket or cricket bats, but I have spent a lot of time watching a lot of, especially manufacturing videos. So, you know, Gunmore, B3, Graynick, Kookaburra, those types of areas, or those types of companies that do a lot of bat, or the bigger known bat, you know, actual makers. B3 not so much. They're not one of the bigger brands, but they do have a number of videos, or they do have some videos on that explains their cricket bats a bit more. Now this one, had I been buying it again, I wouldn't be buying this bat, and I'll explain that to you. This bat is what we definitely call a modern day bat, and it's succumbed to the problem that every amateur cricketer hates. Right? First of all, I'll explain it myself. Now, we're talking about a bat that's got probably between 35 to 40 mil edges, so that's a huge actual edge size on it. Now, the downside to that is that you would think it weighs an absolute ton. It doesn't. This is actually the lightest of my bats, however it's got the biggest edge size. Now, the way to get around it is if we actually have a look down the bat itself. Now, if we have a look down here, we actually look at to the spine of the bat to the edge, that I can actually show you there with my fingers, and you can see the daylight and my face behind that. In fact, this bat actually goes one step further, that from the edge to the spine, it actually drops down first before coming back up to the spine of the bat. Now that's bad from an amateur cricketer for one very distinct reason. And the fact of the matter is that amateur cricketers, we don't always hit the ball in the middle. In fact, most professionals don't always hit the ball in the middle. They do it better than what us amateurs do, but they don't do it anywhere near as well as what you'd think. So I hit a ball here in the middle and it rockets off, and I love the bat. However, the next one, I don't quite middle it. It's off to the side where the actual timber is scalloped out, so there's not very much there, and so it means it doesn't go as far. Then the next one I hit back in the middle and it absolutely rockets. The one after that I hit down here, and it's again in a spot where there's some scalloping that's happened, and so therefore it doesn't go anywhere. So what this type of design of bat actually means is that to keep it as a light bat and not being a railway sleeper or an RS version of a bat, they have to take timber out of it somewhere, and that's where they've done it here. And that's right behind, whereas amateur cricketers, we're playing most of our shots, is slightly off centre or towards the edge. Now in the case of the edge of the bat, it doesn't have anywhere near the amount of timber in it as what the actual middle part of the bat is. So even at the edge, that's not as good as if you're hitting it in the middle. And again, if you're using a full profile bat like this one, if you're hitting the ball slightly off centre, you're still hitting it with a massive amount more of timber than if you're hitting it towards the edge. So it's kind of counterproductive. It's one of those ways that bat manufacturers have actually, the craze in cricket at the moment is about edge size, and the way that the bat manufacturers get around it is by putting or doing that scalloping. Now that brings me to the next point. These two bats that I've got from SG are two very good examples of it. Now this one here, which is the Triple Crown, isn't quite as bad. It doesn't actually have that scalloping down, but it still is a fairly concave bat. Now these two bats, as I said, are a pretty good example of this next point that I'm about to talk about. Any bats that have full stickers on the bat, so what I mean by that is they have stickers in the top parts, which you'll find 99% of bats have stickers on the actual up around the splice. But any bats on the back of the bat that virtually have stickers all the way down either side of the actual spine of the bat, pay very close attention to what they're actually doing. Okay, so both these SG bats have both come or both came with full stickers actually down the spines of the bat. Now what that is, it's a very tricky exercise that the bat makers actually do, so that your eyes are drawn to looking at the stickers and you don't actually hold the bat up and look at what's happening with the stickers. So it's something to watch out for. If we look at a new bat that I haven't completed a review on yet, this one is called it's a bat made by a small company out of England called Affinity. And this is one of their bats. They've got about 4 bats in their range, and this one's called the Phantom. Now this particular bat doesn't have very much. It's not a full profile bat, but its concaving is very. It doesn't have that drop down. It's concave, but it's going up. But it's got a very high spine in the bat. So if you look at the actual spine, it's a very high spine, and so that's how it gets the concave into the bat. Now if you look at the actual bat there of the back there of the Affinity, is that there's virtually, well, other than the melanoma, the support of Melanoma UK, there are no other stickers, and in fact on the early versions of the Affinity bat, there are, and pretty much across their range, there are no stickers across this bat part of the bat. So you can see the profile, you can look at the timber, you can actually decide yourself exactly what the type of bat is. Now since doing a bit of research, what I found is that you'll find a lot of your companies that spend a lot of time in making their bats. So they might make a bespoke bat, which I mean is it's a custom made bat or a bat to your specifications. They leave the back of the bat clean like that so that you can actually see the bat. A number of the very well-known brands, a lot of them now are actually made offshore, so they're not made in Australia and they're not made in England, if that's where you're buying the majority of your cricket gear. They're actually made outside of those areas, and so they're made potentially by the similar people or even the same people as what these two bats that I bought from India. And the way that they do that is by taking timber from the places that you need it most. So you either get a bat that has very little weight in the top of the bat and very little in the toe, or the reverse of that is they do this heavy sculpting. So just make sure you watch out for that when you're looking for a bat. Obviously then, not only to talking about the profile of bat, but the actual characteristics of your bat. So to give you an example, this one here, my very old bat, is a low profile, so it's got most of the wood towards the bottom part of the bat. If we look at then the actual SG, it's got most of the weight actually towards the middle of the bat. And look, those are different. Those types of things depend on how you go about playing your cricket. So that's a video for another time. Of course, if you've got any questions or any comments, make sure you drop them down in the comments bar. Make sure you check out my other videos and specifically how I went about completing a reno of this particular bat. Alright guys, thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you again next time.